What's up? What's up, everybody? Friday review is going to be the Marvel blockbuster Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I'm going to tell you what I think in a non-spoiler way. So you don't have to worry about me spoiling. I know that this is opening weekend and it wouldn't make sense for me to give you all the nitty-gritty about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings first weekend. I got to give you an opportunity to get out there and see it. So again, it's going to be a non-spoiler review of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings from Marvel. It is 2 hours and 12 minutes long. Yeah, so it's 2 hours, 12 minutes long, which is standard fare for a Marvel movie. It's directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who I was not familiar with. I believe that this is probably the biggest movie as far as the production budget and the scope of this thing that Destin Daniel Cretton has done. He is also credited as a writer on Shang-Chi, along with Dave Callahan and Andrew Lanham. And just like Destin Daniel Cretton, the stars are kind of the main character. Shang-Chi is played by Simu Liu, and I hope I'm gonna butcher these names, and I'm not doing it on purpose. And I have practiced saying these names so that I am not disrespecting the culture. But some of this stuff I can't even get my mouth to do. And I'm pretty sure that if I put my name or my friends Tessa or Davina, if I put their names in front of somebody from their culture, they would stumble over our names too. But I am giving it an effort because I think it's rather disrespectful to mispronounce people's names intentionally without even trying, without even trying to get it right. So, anywho, it stars Simu Liu, and he is most known for a Canadian show called I think it was Kim's Supermarket. I know D. Kim's Supermarket is where he is his star kind of rose, and that is like I say a Canadian sitcom. But other than that, he this is the biggest thing that he's done. It is also starring Aquafina. Now, Aquafina has been around for a while. I wasn't very familiar with her, but she came out as I think, a rapper first, and then she went into comedy, and then she's finding her niche in comedy. But she has done some dramatic acting as well. She is probably besides Michelle Yeoh and Tony Leung, she is probably the biggest name in this feature as far as uh, Western audiences go. Now, the Asian audiences know Michelle Yeoh. They know Tony Leung. They know Menger Zhang, who played Ling, who is Shang-Chi's sister. I'm telling you, I'm going to stumble over these names. Fala Chen is Jiang Li in the movie. Fala Chen plays Shang-Chi's mother. And then, of course, Michelle Yeoh, like I say, she played Ying Nan. And Ying Nan is the aunt of Shang-Chi and Ling. Okay, so those are the main characters. Of course, this cast is huge, and it's a lot of moving parts, but these are the names that come up the most. And I'm not going to get into spoilers. I'm going to, she said I did well. Thank you, Tessa, because I feel like, I mean, I really don't want to be that person. And we understand it probably more than some of our more Caucasian counterparts because we're taught to speak their language and pronounce their names well. Our names are just as important, and a name is everything, A name is everything. So, our synopsis is that Shang-Chi is the master of unarmed weaponry based kung fu, and he's forced to confront his past after being drawn into the Ten Rings organization. So, Ten Rings organization we've seen before in Marvel movies. We've seen it in the comics, of course. But as far as the MCU goes, we know that this is a whole different universe. It has been shown in two Marvel movies to date. The first one was the first Iron Man movie, where the Ten Rings organization was the organization who had kidnapped Tony Stark. The second time we saw the Ten Rings organization was in Iron Man 3, and that's when the Mandarin was the like doing these terror attacks. And we know that those terror attacks ended up being fake. So the question was, well, is this Ten Rings organization also fake? And we learned in Shang-Chi, it is not fake. It is all the way real. So that was a good. They do call back to those first two appearances of the Ten Rings organization, but know that the Ten Rings organization is a formidable force in this movie. This is another Marvel feature that has a huge cultural relevance. We saw it as far as the African American and the black community worldwide. We saw it with Black Panther, and we are seeing it again with Shang-Chi. And then we also are seeing the importance of when a film has a rich cultural history to draw from, that it's very important that someone who shares that culture brings that movie to life, because it would have been an injustice to have anyone other than an Asian director bring this thing to life. And let's move on. Now, I don't presume to know the Chinese culture, because I'll leave that to an Asian reviewer to tell you if they get the cultural references correct. Because again, it would be disrespectful for me to attempt to say, oh yeah, they got it all right, when I'm not 100% sure myself. So hopefully you guys will follow some Asian reviewers who will give you their input on what was done well in this movie. I can tell you this though, the movie is beautifully and vibrantly shot. So it's not one of those movies that has that gray, grimy look. We say Tesla say that's so true. Cultural contributions, absolutely. Those it's not for me to judge as far as the culture goes. I can say that what was represented on screen was beautiful, and that it was, like I said, bright, vibrant. It didn't have that grimy kind of dark comic book movie look. Everything looked alive, and I think that was an intentional choice by the director, the cinematographer, everybody who was involved in how this movie was going to be received. Everything about it is alive. The costumes are original and unique. And of course, I'm not talking about when Shang-Chi, if you've seen the trailers, you know that he spent some time here in the United States, in San Francisco. And he says, glad that it's not a dark movie. Absolutely not. You don't have to worry about that. I have problems in the movies. I can't see. My nickname was blind in high school. Duh. So dark movies, they don't translate well to me because of the impairments to my vision. But this movie, everything jumped off the screen, and I didn't see it in 3D because, again, that's something I've learned that my eyes don't even that doesn't even translate well with my vision. So I can see a movie in standard definition and it looks the same almost as a 3D movie. But that's a whole different conversation, right? This one, you don't have to worry about that dark, grainy look. Like I say, the costumes were unique. It's when we get to, again, them going over into China, the costumes are beautiful. Chock full of action. There is, some of it is standard martial arts action. And then parts of it is so elegantly choreographed, it looks like a dance. So 3D doesn't work for you either? Good. Because I feel like I'm alone sometimes when it was becoming a waste of money. I used to go to see movies in 3D. It became a waste of money because I can't see. It just is. It's not financially feasible for me to watch the movie in 3D. Where am I? The fights are either so beautiful that they look like a dance. There's a back and forth, and you will see, and you will tell me that you are understanding what I'm talking about right now. And the martial arts, when we're doing standard martial arts, it gives you Jackie Chan vibes. It gives you, of course, Michelle Yeoh and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, those vibes, and it is so well done. The fights look great to me. Again, I'm not a martial artist, so of course the fights are gonna look great to me. Maybe somebody who is trained in the martial arts will be like, "Well, no, it wasn't really that great." A layperson like myself, the thing was beautiful. Let me ask y'all: is this poll right in the middle of the screen for y'all? Do you guys see a poll on your screen? Because I want it to go away. I put it there, but now I don't want it there. Now, Shang-Chi's story is similar to many of the MCU's heroes beginning their origin stories. It's similar. And it's similar in that Guy was navigating through life, confronted by a past and a father whose shadow looms heavily over them, and then they learn to face the fact that he is his own person and overcomes an obstacle once he embraces who he is. Okay, so we've seen that kind of setup for a origin story before with Iron Man. We've seen it with Thor. Uh, in a small way is Black Panther. Just a touch of Black Panther. We've seen it a bunch of different ways, and this one is kind of cookie cutter, but at the same time, each movie brought something different to that same angle, and this one I think does it the best. Well, I'll say this: it's even to me with Black Panther in the way they handle the daddy issues in this movie. It might seem like cookie cutter Marvel. What sets this movie apart is the execution. The execution is done in such a way that you can tell that these people care about the way this is going to be perceived. So the again, because it has cultural significance, there's a lot of pride, cultural pride, and then professional pride. When you marry those two, you get a Black Panther, and you get a Shang-Chi. You can actually see that this movie, that the people who made this movie realize that it's bigger than a movie. It is very important for Asian children, as it was for Black children, to see themselves represented in a big blockbuster movie. And because they cared about their audience in more than one way, more than a professional care about the audience, this was executed very well. This is another case of the sympathetic villain, and we have been seeing Marvel movies get that right over the past 4 or 5 years now, where we can actually maybe not their the way their means of doing things, but the fact that they have a reason, not just because they want to twirl their mustache and be evil. There's actually a reasonable explanation for why these people are behaving in this manner. That what people would call them villains. So Wen Wu, who is Shang-Chi's father in this movie, his actions are completely understandable once you learn his motivations. And Michelle Yeoh is a freaking treasure. We know this. If you know me, she's part of so many of my favorite universes. She is part, of course, the martial arts universe. Now she's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe twice, because she already appeared in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And here we are, and she's also in Star Trek Universe in Discovery. So 3 places Michelle Yeoh shows up, And every single time, I'm like, she is a national treasure. She is just that good to me. And in this movie, her role is not huge, but it's big. Let me see. Let me reverse that. Her role is not big, but it's huge. When she's on the screen, she is dropping knowledge. That knowledge is going to be pertinent moving forward in the MCU. So pay attention to her words and also pay attention to her actions and look at the deeper meaning because there is a bigger what she's saying in that moment sounds one way, but when you sit back and think about it later, you realize that it had implications further in the MCU. So, if that makes sense, I don't know. Now, another thing is while Shang-Chi's story is central to this movie, his sister Xialing had a very interesting beginning as well, and it might not be enough for a whole full length movie, but definitely a story that is going to be worth telling in parts of future movies or TV shows, like they're doing now with these TV shows that are companions pretty much to the MCU movies. And now I'm going to talk about Aquafina. Aquafina was more or less comic relief in this movie. So for most of the movie, she provides your comedy. She lands some laughs. You know, you're gonna laugh at her. But if she was written out of this script, you probably wouldn't notice. she wasn't she wasn't so important that she needed to be throughout the entire movie. Not saying that it was a bad idea. I like her, you know, as far as an actress is concerned, but she is not. She ain't important to the overall story of this movie. In fact, I put it like this: she's us in the movie. So in the movie, she would be what we are, spectators taking in all of this crazy that's going on around her. She's reacting the way we would as an audience because again, this isn't her family. This is just her being friends with Shang-Chi, and because of their bond, because of their friendship, she goes with him when he makes his trek to reunite with his father. And that is something that's not a spoiler. It is definitely in the in the trailer. You can see that that is something that happened. So I've heard a lot of people ranking the origin stories of Marvel heroes. You know, I'm gonna resist the urge to put this in a one, two, three, four, but I'm gonna judge this movie on the unique entry that it is, and because of that, uh, it's its own beast at this point. It is a beautiful thing. I think anybody, if especially if you're a martial arts fan, especially if you're an MCU fan, if you have any familiarity with the source material, this is going to be a movie that you walk away from saying, "Wow, they did that. They did that." And out of five, I'm gonna give this a 4.5, which is huge to me because I can find something wrong with anything. And with this movie, I would have to be really nitpicking. Every movie has flaws and things that are or could have been done differently as we are Monday morning quarterbacking a film. But this particular movie was so beautiful, it could stand on its own without the MCU. If this was not a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, it would still be a beautiful movie. Uh, I hope that the Asia community finds it to be a fitting representation of their culture and that this masterpiece holds the same significance to them that Black Panther holds with us. And of course, I highly recommend going to see Shang-Chi and give it a push on the opening weekend. If you guys can get there this weekend, we are still in the middle of a pandemic, and I'm very happy that the theaters are even like semi, let's say semi open, I am I'm confident that if you do your social distancing and all of that, if you do your social distancing and all of that, that you will be safe watching this movie. Wear your mask, sanitize. You can be safe watching this movie. The movie already was off to a great financial start for the pandemic, for the time that we're in. That first day, which was yesterday, the first day yesterday, it made $8.8 million at the box office, which is second only to its big sister, Black Widow. So let me see, is it on HBO Max? It will not. HBO Max is. I mean, this movie will be on Disney Plus. So HBO Max, that's the DC stuff. When you're talking Marvel stuff, it's gonna always be Disney Plus. And this movie has a theatrical run of 45 days. So for 45 days, it's going to exclusively be in theaters, and then after that, it will go to Disney Plus. Right around October 18th, if my math is right, that's 45 days. Whatever 45 days from today is, I think it's around about the 18th of October. And that will be like just in time for us to get ready for the next round of superhero movies. Even though it won't be, I think that's the Venom movie, and if they don't change the date again, which of course, I understand they have to, because because that is the world that we're living in. They're trying to see what other movies are doing before they release their movies on the big screen. And I'm gonna do Venom, Let There Be Carnage, because that is again the next blockbuster superhero movie that's coming on. And then we'll get Marvel's Eternals in November. I plan to not just cover your Marvel movies or your Venoms, your DC movies, or any of that. I plan to just cover movies. So like I did last week, I covered Candyman, but from Nia DaCosta. If there is a movie that is going to have a cultural significance to me, I will definitely cover culturally significant movies to us. And then for the pop culture will be the next level of importance. And then after that, I'll cover whatever. So if you have a movie that you have in mind, oh, thank you, D. But if you have a movie that you have in mind that you would like to see reviewed, and I'm talking one of these upcoming flicks, don't have me digging in the archives, going in crates trying to find movies, so review them for you. But if it's on a streaming service such as Hulu, Netflix, HBO Max, I've got all of those. So if there's something that's coming out, Amazon Prime, if it's something that's coming out on a streamer that you want to review for, let me know. I'll try to put that together. Big blockbusters, I'm definitely going to at least try to get to one a week. So if you guys have any requests, I don't mind you hitting me up in my inbox here on After the Snap Movies and TV on Facebook, or you can hit me up at afterthesnap@gmail.com as far as my email address. I knew there was one more thing I wanted to share. On Saturdays, if you just want to catch up the entertainment news for the entire week, I do a weekly live stream on my YouTube channel. You can find the link to the YouTube channel. It should be there. If it's not there, let me know, D, if you don't see that link to my YouTube channel on the screen, if you're still in the building here. But anywho, I think I do still have the link in the description of this live stream if you do want to come over on YouTube and listen to the weekly wrap up. That's also where I discuss Marvel's What If, the animated series on Disney Plus. And let me tell you, this thing is getting dark. And I also discuss DC's Titans from HBO Max, and that one is kind of losing me. And if you want to know why, Just join me tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Time for the weekly wrap up on YouTube. And again, the link to the YouTube channel will be in the description of this live stream or this video if you're watching it on the rebroadcast. Outside of that, I don't have anything else. Thank you for joining me today, Tessa, and anybody else who came in and popped in and said hello and popped back out. I have fun. I'll see you guys next week, and I will be announcing what movie I'll be doing next week. I think it's gonna be *Malignant*, which is another horror movie, and because we're entering spooky season, there probably gonna be some spooky movies. Yeah, I'm gonna scare the hell out of myself so that I can sit here and discuss a movie with you. So James Wan's *Malignant* is most likely going to be the next movie that I review next week Friday on the channel. Have any questions, comments, concern? Put them there. I'll get to them directly. And I thank you very much for joining me today. You guys have a great evening and see you at the movie.